This afternoon, I'm in conversation with Dr. David Otway, and David is going to speak to us about CK406. CK406 is chemical sciences. So good afternoon, David.
Good afternoon, Jane. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you too. So what is CK406?
CK406 is an entry stream into a whole series of courses at UCC. The way I would best describe it is that if you've got an interest in studying chemistry or one of its derivations like forensic science or chemical physics or science education with chemistry, CK406 would be your choice. Just to clear up any potential for confusion, there's also another course entry called CK402, which is biological and chemical sciences. If you're more of the slightly confused between whether you want to do biology or chemistry, or you specifically want to do what we call CPC, chemistry with pharmaceutical compounds, that would be CK402. Today, we're going to focus on what you can do with CK406 and its options for degree programs.
That sounds very interesting. So really you're targeting individuals who, as they go through school, have an interest in chemistry and at this point aren't quite sure where they're going to go, but they're going to hone in on their interest in chemistry. So they arrive at University College Cork into CK406. And what happens next?
So in first year for CK406, you have a couple of options. And one of those is structured similarly to our CK402 course in that it's a blend of chemistry, biology, maths, and physics. And the idea there is to get everybody up to the same level. It's like a foundation. Sometimes we have people come in who haven't done physics, haven't done chemistry, or haven't done biology. You can come in with any one lab science. And as long as you apply yourself in the first year, we get everybody up to the same level, and you can then decide where you go with it, whether you want to go down the more chemical physics side of things or stay in the main chemistry stream, or maybe diversify into chemistry with forensics.
So after that first year where you have that foundation, we call it, what happens next? Are choices made at the end of that first year?
Yes. So at the end of first year, coming out of CK406, you make a choice between chemistry with forensic science, chemical physics, or science education with a chemistry kind of direction. If you came in through CK402, you could pick chemistry or biology, but 406 just gives you the chemistry education option.
And it's a 4-year degree?
It's a 4-year degree. So after first year, you then have 3 more years. There would be a core of 8 modules in second year that everybody does with some electives, and then you tend to focus down on splitting into either the forensics or the chemistry or the chemical physics parts of the programs.
And David, what are the postgraduate options for students?
They're very wide and very varied. There's this general misconception that all chemists wear white coats, and that's something that the Royal Society of Chemistry, who accredit our degrees, like to use in their advertising. Not all chemists wear white coats. To focus on your answer, as a postgraduate, post your graduation, rather than being specifically a postgraduate, there are huge amount of options. You are highly respected and highly wanted by many disciplines, because what you are able to do coming out of a chemistry course, and specifically CK406 at UCC, is you're seen as numerate, so you can understand and deal with numbers and data. You're a problem solver, and on top of that, you have very good practical skills.
And when you say working in the city, presumably you mean in the financial world?
Well, finance or consulting companies or oil companies. You name it. In Cork, for instance, we have 13 of the top 15 pharmaceutical companies in the world making drugs. And you can go down that avenue and work for them. But again, you don't have to be wearing a white coat working on a bench. You can if you want to. But a lot of our people go in and maybe go into sales, or go into marketing, or go into analysis, or go into a graduate path to become, leaders of the company. Or some people just prefer the work on the bench making compounds, or analyzing compounds, or making new devices, and not going down the pharma route. Chemistry is not all about drugs. There are many other companies in the kind of ICTs, information communications technology side of things. So we work very closely with big multinationals on those, and they we have an Intel computer lab, for instance, and lots of interactions with what I would say is the other side of chemistry apart from drugs.
That's fascinating. And David, how are the students sensitized to the varying possibilities of employment?
Throughout their degree in second, third, and fourth year, once you're out of first year and you're into your kind of streams of chemistry or chemistry with forensics, chemical physics, we, from a teaching side, break into 4 areas, which are analytical, inorganic, organic, and physical chemistry. And each of those has their own kind of nuance and lean towards end techniques. Our research in the at UCC in chemistry is based around 3 main themes, which tie in with those. One is to do with the environment, so we tie in with the ERI, the Environmental Research Institute, and that tends to be physical and inorganic chemistry going that way. We tie in with the ABCRF, which is the
Analytical and Biological
Biological
Chemistry
Chemical
Research Facility. That's
Yes.
perfect. You have 4 approaches: analytical, organic, inorganic, and physical.
physical. So that's on the teaching side of things, but they tie into 3 kind of broad thematic research areas, which would be environmental, pharmaceutical, and materials. So the
Mhm.
materials side of chemistry is what I work in. I'm an inorganic materials chemist, working on small devices, screens, batteries, silicon circuitry, new technology for that with big multinationals. The pharmaceutical world I already mentioned, and then the whole area of climate change and the EPA and environmental monitoring and smokeless fuels and particle, very topical at the moment with COVID, with particle dispersion and understanding how particles move in a confined space. So we have those kind of 3 broad thematic research areas behind the 4 individual sub-disciplines in chemistry.
So the students are exposed to, as with cutting edge research.
In third year, what we do is we have specific modules on environmental, pharma, and materials chemistry. So they are exposed to research leaders in those areas, and they pick one of those modules to continue on into their 4th year. I've seen people do one and go back into different fields, and I've seen people come from completely different areas of chemistry into one another. So the important thing is going back to that very first stage where you're seen as a problem solver and numerator. Yes, you do have specific skills in individual sub-disciplines, but that doesn't close any doors. In fact, it keeps doors open.
Are there work placements?
The chemistry side of the house, we currently don't have a prescribed work placement program. We encourage it, and we will act as referees and as kind of points of contact. We tie in very tightly, as I already may have mentioned, with the Tyndall for the materials side of things, with the ERI and with the ABCRF, and CEFS, the College of Science, Engineering and Food Science, run 3rd year placement possibilities, and the Tyndall often have placement possibilities, but we don't have one directly structured into the degree. Now, there's a good reason for that, and that is because of the nature of our course, where people can self-select whether they go chemistry, whether they go forensics, whether they go chemical physics. Plus, we take a feed from Ck402 of chemists. We have a very variable number of students. So one year we may have 40, and the next year we may have 55, and the next year we may have 35. And that's based on personal choice of what people want to do. And so having enough placements ready baked is almost impossible.
So, but the employability, so the student doesn't necessarily have a structured placement program. That doesn't prevent them from finding their own during the summer of any of their years.
No, and we actively encourage that and try to help with that process. We have a soft skills module in our 3rd year, which helps students with their CVs, with their writing skills, their presenting skills, and their talking skills, and as well as looking at the whole information technology.
And is that a compulsory module?
Yes, it is for the main chemistry cohort, and chemical physics do that.
So that would be a compulsory employability skills module.
Yes.
in the curriculum there of the third
Yes,
year.
that is the third year.
So, David, are there any co-curricular or extracurricular employability skills modules or programs or opportunities that the students can avail of?
Yes, there are, Jean. We have in second year, or you can do it in third year, a validation science module that's been recently introduced, and that is joint with CIT. And what that enables some of our students to do is as an extra credit module to look at good manufacturing practice and good laboratory practice, and to give you a kind of small extra quota outside of the degree qualification. And there's two modules that can be done in that in second year and third year. There's also we have very close ties within the School of Chemistry with our own chemical society, which is run by the students but with help from the staff, and they are fabulously active. They run things activities all through the year. We also work very closely with the bigger UCC Science Society, which bridges across all of the sciences, so not just the chemistry. And they organise a huge amount of activities, whether it's trips to places like the Jameson Brewery, or whether it's to places like Pfizer or Janssen or many of the other pharma companies in the vicinity, as well as social events and getting visiting speakers in. They are always organising extracurricular things for Science Week and helping out on our open days as well.
So there's a very structured approach to enabling people acquire those work-ready skills.
Yes, indeed, and we wholeheartedly encourage the interaction with the societies and clubs. A more recent society that's come out is the YSTEM Society, which again bridges across SEFs to encourage women into science and technology, and we have sponsorship through a number of companies who help out in that area and help out again with more specific employability skills.
Can you give some examples of where you welcome employers to the university, perhaps to deliver guest lectures or to maybe advise on the development of master's programs? So that kind of engagement between chemical sciences cohort in UCC and the world of employers.
Very much in fourth year, a number of our lectures are delivered by what would be classically non-school staff. So people from the Tyndall, people from the ERI. We have a lot of what I would say would be adjunct professors who are based down in those research centres.
Do you interact with employers in the way, inviting them on advisory boards or delivering guest lectures or helping inform potentially the particularly postgraduate offerings such that the students are more work ready?
Yes, we do, Jean. We have an industrial liaison board, which is very active and helps us understand their requirements and helps us modify our programs and our delivery. In fact, the validation module I mentioned earlier came out of that discussion with industry. So there was a lot of pharma companies and a lot of the local Cork and Munster companies based on that industrial panel, as well as greater European interaction.
I guess there's elements of entrepreneurship incorporated into the curriculum as well. Is there opportunities for people with entrepreneurial ideas to flourish?
There are. We have had people who have come up with their own ideas and gone on to take up Irish Research Council PhDs that have come out of fourth year projects that they've studied, that they've directed into their own direction. We also have had three, off the top of my head, at least three spin-out companies come out of the School of Chemistry, one on a device and another on sort of processes. So we use the incubators and the research side of the house very widely.
So I guess the school in a sense is very nurturing of students who are expressing interest and enthusiasm for particular areas. and for particular opportunities down the line.
Yes, very much so. I mean, we have probably one of the largest PhD cohorts in the university in the School of Chemistry, and we have a very vibrant postgraduate community who organise their own extracurricular things and are a very tight-knit bunch.
So it means surely that from the School of Chemistry in UCC that our alumni network is vast, and that many of our alumni now have key positions in leadership of global companies, and
Yes.
therefore affording opportunities for the new cohorts of graduates to come out and find employment.
Yes, very much so. We have a number of prizes that are sponsored by particular companies. And each year, normally in April, we have a 3rd and 4th year poster session where the 3rd and 4th year undergraduates, not just in chemistry, but in chemistry with forensics, chemical physics, and chemistry with pharmaceutical compounds, which comes out of Ck402, all show their 4th year projects, and that soft skills 3rd year module I mentioned, they work in pairs. Those are, like I said, are sponsored by one of the big chemical companies, and we have a prize giving, and it's a very sort of vibrant environment.
And David, any myths relating to studying chemical sciences that you want to dispel?
The biggest one is not all chemists wear white coats. That is the biggest myth. People think that you will be tied to the bench, and you don't have to be. Like I mentioned before, the numeracy, the problem solving, the data handling, the accuracy, the practical skills that you have are very widely respected.
So will you conclude by recapping for me and for the listeners, what are the key skill sets that one acquires on studying chemical sciences?
Practical skills, specifically around specific synthetic chemical techniques. Yes, you have those. You have analytical skills to take and interpret data around chemical compounds, around products from chemical reactions, from the observation and measurement of the environment, and a whole host of other things, and to be able to analyze and synthesize that data together and to use it to inform policy. That's what ultimately we do, and to create new employment possibilities, new product possibilities, new company possibilities. Plus also, you could think of maybe more on the forensic side of things. You are helping out on a holistic side of things, solve crime, understanding people's psychology and the whole area of that. And also, deep in the background, ultimately, if you're going to make a new drug that's going to, cure cancer or heart disease, ultimately a chemist is going to have to be involved in the making of that drug. And that is hopefully where we will enable people to skill themselves to do so.
Thank you very much, David. Very, very interesting. It's been a pleasure to be in conversation with you, Dr. David Otway of Ck406 Chemical Sciences at University College Cork. Thank you, David, and thank you to our listeners.
Employability and career development initiatives are delivered through curricular, co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Over 90% of our programs offer placements internationally and nationally. Throughout your time in UCC, you will have the opportunity to develop employability skills through entrepreneurship modules, skill sessions, and memberships of clubs, societies, becoming a class representative, and getting involved. Throughout your student journey, Ucc Career Services will support your career planning with one-to-one career consultations and coaching. The Career Services collaborate with academic departments and other UCC units to deliver bespoke and standalone employability and career-related workshops and events for all students and recent graduates. Our annual recruitment fair is one of the largest national career fairs, featuring up to 100 top graduate employers. For more information about UCC employability initiatives and the career services, visit ucc.ie/careers.